at the dry cleaners in the morning, and I got a call that you have to get to the house from Frank DeLeo, who's serving as his manager. There's something wrong. They called the paramedics, and he's not breathing. So I jumped in the car. I was with an associate of mine, and as I was approaching the house, the ambulance was just coming out of the gates with the two Escalades that are Michael's private security detail, and his children were behind the ambulance. So I just U-turned around and got behind them, and we zoomed straight to UCLA Medical Center, the Ronald Reagan building, where the Saperstein emergency room at UCLA.
When did you first learn that Michael Jackson was taken to the hospital?
I received a phone call from Frank DeLeo. I think it was approximately 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. That Michael was having trouble breathing. There were paramedics at the house. Where was I? I was in Westwood. He said, "You're closer to the house than me. Can you get up there right away?" I'm still at the Beverly Hilton Hotel.
All right, and what time was this?
I believe, to the best of my recollection, it was somewhere around 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I believe, to the best of my recollection, it was somewhere around 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I jumped in my car and sped up to Michael's house on Carolwood Drive.
All right, and what time, do you recall how long it took you to get to Michael's house in Carolwood Drive?
About 15 minutes.
All right. And when you arrived, what did you see?
The paramedics and the ambulance, the red ambulance, was leaving the gates of the Carolwood Drive, and right behind it were two SUVs, black SUVs, that I believed had Michael's security patrol and his family, meaning the children.
They were leaving the residence?
Correct.
And what did you do?
I turned my car around and got behind them.
Okay, and you went to the hospital?
Yes.
A fan had called and said, "Why is there an ambulance outside of Michael's house?" And I said, "Well, I'm not aware that there is." It was, 11 o'clock, or I don't know what time it was. So I got in my car and I went over to the house, and by the time I got there, the ambulance was pulling out. So I found out where they were going. I just turned the car around and I headed to the hospital. At that time, I assumed he was alive.
I was at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. I was having lunch. It was an early lunch, but it was 11:30. And I got a call from the fan. As I'm walking, I called Randy Phillips. I said, "Randy, I don't know what's going on, but there's an ambulance at Michael's house." He was at the cleaners. He went right to Michael's house. I got my car, came out. So I got there, and the gates were wide open, and the guards were out there, and I said, "Well, where's the ambulance?" They said they took Michael to the hospital. So I didn't know which hospital. In my mind, I thought it was Cedars-Sinai. I said, "Well, I better call Randy." So I called Randy and I said, "Did you get to the house?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm following the ambulance." I said, "Where are we going, to Cedars?" He said, "No, we're going to UCLA." I said, "Okay, I'm on my way." And again, I didn't really know where that was.
DeLeo called me and said, "I can't get there first. You got to get there. You're closer. There's something wrong." They called the paramedics, and he's not breathing.
Mrs. Jackson called me. She says, "I heard they took my son to the hospital." I said, "Catherine, they did. Should I come?" I said, "I don't know what's going on yet. Just give me a minute and I'll call you back." Hung up. 3 minutes later, as I'm still driving, her driver called. "Frank, what's going on?" I said, "Trent, I don't know, but tell Catherine to come on. Bring her down here. We're going to UCLA. It's better that she comes." Because I still don't know what's going on.
But when I got into the emergency room and they were in there working on him, and I thought, well, you know, I think he'll be okay. Maybe, I'm not sure what happened. And then when the nurse came out, I could tell that he was gone. But in the meantime, his mother had called, Catherine. And I said, Catherine, I'm not sure what's going on, because the nurse had come out at that point. And I said, but I think you should come here. And so she did. She headed down.
I got a call just a little bit before noon. That Michael had been taken from the hospital by Randy's assistant, who gave me that call. And I then came over here, talked to Randy. I said, Randy, what's happened? He says, I don't know, Brian, I'll meet you at the medical center. We got here, and when I saw him, we just hugged Harry. Michael had been taken from the hospital by Randy's assistant, who gave me that call.
Right here on Carolwood.
Linda Welton sells maps to the homes of Hollywood stars, a business her family has operated for decades.
Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley.
Her passion for celebrities hit an all-time high when one of her favorite stars moved into the home across from her map stand.
It was such a great thrill when Michael moved here.
Jackson's home became an instant draw for his fans.
It was always fun selling maps, but that was the thrill of our life, the most short-lived thrill we'll ever have.
Short-lived because 6 months after Jackson moved in and just 3 weeks before he was scheduled to start his new concert series.
When I saw the ambulance going there about 11:45, I called immediately my friend and I let her know an ambulance went in. When I saw the ambulance going there about 11:45, I called immediately my friend.
We do know he was brought here, again, full cardiac arrest. That's a fact. He was brought here around between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. Between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. The time is fluctuating a little bit, so he's been here for a couple of hours now. And as one police officer told me, he was in very, very bad shape when he was picked up.
The third line here, would you please tell me what that information conveys?
That says second bicarb. Sodium bicarbonate, it's a medication we give.
And you gave that to Mr. Jackson?
That's correct.
What is the purpose of that medication?
When you're not breathing, your cells produce acid. As the acid levels build up in your bloodstream, it makes it impossible for your heart to function. Sodium bicarbonate is a base, the opposite of an acid. It brings the level back down to a normal level.
Yet another attempt to assist in reviving Mr. Jackson, correct?
That's correct.
Below it there appears to be a number. What is that?
The number's 1400.
What is the significance of that number?
It's when the second bicarbonate was given, but that's not accurate.
What do you mean it's not accurate?
Well, I don't wear a watch. I get my time off of my cardiac monitor, and it was off by an hour.
I understand.
So
But all the other information that you received from your monitor was accurate, correct?
that's absolutely correct.
Mark, Peoples 44. If I may, firefighter Sinnott, you indicated that the time of 1400 is incorrect by an hour. In which way?
It was actually 1300.
Thank you.
Shortly after 1 p.m., the ambulance begins to move.
So as it was backing out, I told the photographer, put the camera up against the window and get the shot, and that's what he did. It is the most valuable paparazzi photo ever taken.
The ambulance races to the hospital, followed by the children in one Escalade, the bodyguards in another. At the hospital, the bodyguards who protected Jackson in life lash out at those who would intrude upon his privacy in death.
Please, man. It's a private. I know. But it's this big, man.
But you have been suspicious of his health for some time. In what way?
I have warned that one day Michael Jackson would wake up dead. Michael Jackson would wake up dead.